Joining Josh today, and it's good to talk to Josh now. So today's subject is going to be about men's masculinity. As we all know, what does masculinity mean in modern society? How do we men project ourselves? What are our values? What kind of relationship do we have within ourselves? Now, a lot of people, especially men, they are afraid to talk about masculinity. They are afraid to express themselves, to allow their thoughts and feelings to be shared. As men, we do not want to talk about our mental well-being and how that impacts on our masculinity. So remember, do not be afraid, but call Josh on 07852 473 473. And I'm really looking forward to talking to you. Remember, it's a relaxed.
Broadcasting worldwide, 24/7, 365. Relax Radio.
Listeners, and welcome to Talk to Josh. And today we are going to talk about career development. What do we mean by career development? How do we define career? All of us work really hard to develop the skill sets, the passion, the commitment, the desire to create a career that's fulfilling, that gives us opportunities to build homes, relationship. But how do we define career in modern society, and what skill sets do you need is really important. And today, to discuss this further, I have a guest named Amy. Just before I bring in Amy, I just give you the numbers to ring us on 07852 473 473. We're going to go on a short advert, then come back and I'll introduce you to Amy. Hi, Amy. So welcome to Talk to Josh today. Amy, just tell my audience who you are and what part of England you're from.
So my name's Amy Ford. I am from Hertfordshire. I'm 36 years old. I have two elder stepchildren, teenagers. I have a 7-year-old and I have a 1-year-old. So we've got 4 children between us. We all live together. It's pretty busy, the household. And yeah, I've lived in Hertfordshire all my life. I still live here and I probably will continue to live here. So yeah.
So, today we're talking about career development and what does that look like in modern society, because, career means different things to different people. So just briefly tell me, what was your first job when you started, Amy, going into the work?
My first job was, I was actually a waitress in my uncle's cafe. I was only 13. I've always worked quite hard, and when I had my first job I then got a second job and a third job. So when I was 16 years old I had 3 jobs and I was still at school. So I always was quite hungry for money, very young.
Well, that's really good. So you're quite ambitious from a young age and determined, and you wanted to be self-reliant. Okay, so for you, Amy, what does career mean for you?
Okay, so for me, I mean, if we look back, I'm 36 now, but when I left school, I studied my A-levels, did my A-levels, and I was always, told to go and get a career, so get a degree. So I did my A-levels, passed those. I went and studied at a university in Chelmsford called Anglia Ruskin, and I did a day release surveying degree, so quantity surveying.
Okay.
So my career, I knew that I wanted a good income, a good salary. So I picked a job that I knew was going to give me that. So I went down the surveying route. I did 5 years part-time day release. And that was a career path that I chose. So I went down the construction route. I started working in London. I had various jobs for various different construction companies, and that was, I thought, was my career. And I thought I'd just sort of climb the ladder. It sort of veered off a little bit now, which I'm sure we'll go into, but that was what I envisaged my life to be.
So when you started off in that industry, you know, working in construction, what was that like for you? Was there a lot of challenges as a woman going into the construction business? Did you face a lot of barriers? And how did that make you feel?
Yeah, for sure. So I was only 18 when I got my first job in London, and it was very male dominated. I mean, I can hold myself well, and I know what I'm capable of. But apart from most of surveying, you're winging it, right? You are still winging it.
Yeah.
I was under a lot of pressure with having this male-dominated, you know, presence around me. And I did feel sometimes quite small at work, where I thought, God, some days I remember sitting on the steps. I don't know if anyone knows Liverpool Street Station, and I was sitting on the steps one day, and I was in tears, thinking, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'd sort of got into a job where I didn't feel like I was worthy of being there. So yeah, it was very hard. And I'm only reminded of that now when people talk to me about it. But at the time, you know, I was so passionate about, you know, doing well for myself and earning the money that I was earning. So it didn't really affect me so much at the time. It's only now looking back, I think, wow, I really went through a lot. So it was hard.
So what did you learn about yourself from that experience?
That I'm powerful. That I'm strong, and I can do anything. Yeah,
Excellent.
Anyone is capable of anything. Whatever you put your mind to, you can do. So it taught me that just keep pushing, and I did climb, you know, the ladder. And I went into my final job as a surveyor. My day rate was pretty good, considering I was a young female still at the time, and I had like a little girl that I was putting into nursery, and I was doing so well. I sort of, you know, purchased my own property, renovated that, had the money to do that. So I knew I could achieve. So I've learned from that I am capable of anything.
So can I just say, it's really interesting what you just said. You said, look, I'm powerful, I'm strong. For me as a life coach, that's about you know, becoming aware. It's about awareness, about your strength. So where did you get the skill set from? Where did that come from for you?
I think, to be honest, being thrown into that industry, honestly, I think it's come from that. Like, a lot of people around me always say, well, Amy, you're so confident, and, you know, you just keep pushing through. Your ambitions are huge, and you're so determined and motivated and disciplined. And I do honestly think that it was sink or swim for me in that industry.
Yeah, I was going to say, so what would you tell young Amy now if you were to go back? What would you say to young Amy?
Keep going, Amy. Yeah. You can do it. You can do anything you want. Just put your mind to it and do it. You know, don't worry about the outside noise. Don't listen to any negativity. Just keep pushing through. It would honestly be just go. Just keep going.
Listen, on that note, we're going to take a short break. And if dear listeners want to call us, please call us on 07852 473 473. We'll be back in just 2 seconds. Dear listeners, welcome back. Again, the phone number is, if you want to call us, is 07852 473 473. So just before the break, I was talking to Amy regarding her self-esteem, her confidence, and she just said to us, look, it was about just moving on. Don't listen to any other voices or anyone else. Just follow your dreams, your hope, and your aspiration. But following on from that, Amy, what would you say did you have a goal set when you were young, saying, look, did you have a career plan saying, look, from A to B. This is how I'm going to get there. And if you did have that, would you like to share that with us? What was the skill sets that you had?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a goal-driven person. I always have been. I think as a surveyor, it was really just to get to senior position.
Yep.
So obviously I stepped from trainee surveyor to assistant surveyor to, project QS.
Yep.
And then it was always going to be like senior QS and then director. And then perhaps one day I was going to own my construction company, which is what I have now. So yeah, I'm a goal-driven person, and I always focus on an end goal or a plan to get to.
And for our listeners, because when you're talking about goal set, I know as a coach, when you're talking about aim, objective, and setting reasonable standard, what would you say the secret of managing and developing a good goal setting plan?
I think just visioning it every day and getting up and just believing every single day and put yourself in that position. So what does that look like? So as a senior QS, what does that look like? Dress like a senior QS. Like I used to go to work and I used to wear a suit.
Yeah.
I used to just put myself in that position and imagining myself like, with the construction company that I was going to own, which I do now. What was I going to do, in my day that surrounded me having a construction company. So just really visioning me as that person is pretty much what I did and what I do every day now.
Great. And I think moving on from that, I think it's really important what you just said about visualization. I think one of the things that I would say as a coach to a lot of my clients, and when I'm doing self-reflection with companies, I would say to individuals, it's always important to write down where your journey is going to be, so you can see. I think it's really important what you said. You write down from A to B how you're going to get there, what will be the barriers, what would stop you, and also it's about looking at your skill sets, like saying, well, what skill sets do I have, or who do I need to help me to get to that? So for you, once you've done that, Amy, how did you move to the next phase of your career, and how did you develop that?
So yeah, agreed. I think like what you say about being close to people that have already got there. Yeah. So I used to hang around with directors of the company. I used to, make sure that I was always next to them and learning from them really, in order to get to where I got to. But I basically, I knew I could do it, and I met my partner. He was a bricklayer by trade. So me being a QS, him being a bricklayer, I mean, he could sort of do the house build from sort of ground up. And I said, look, I don't want to work in London anymore. I've had enough. I don't want to put my child in childcare. Should we start a business? And he's pretty much as ambitious as I am. And he was like, yeah, let's go for it. So we did. So it was just taking that risk really, of just, we started our company, started a construction company. I was still very much working at the time, and just slowly put ourselves out there. I mean, look, things like this come, when you believe in yourself, things come your way. And we just, took on a couple of jobs and a bigger job. And then now we develop. So we've sort of removed the client, and really I'm living the life that I've always dreamt of.
Well, congratulations, because it's not easy. It's never easy to fulfill your dreams because you're always constantly working. So now that you achieved that, so I want to move on to another aspect of your, your career. So how do you, as Amy, look after yourself? How do you take care of yourself, and how do you prioritize your professional and your family life? What other skill sets then do you utilize that, in terms of managing that?
Absolutely. So I think every single day I read through. I have a script, yeah. So I read through my script every day of how I do.
Really? Oh, okay.
I would read it out. I read it. It's written down. I would read it. It's basically like I'm a fantastic organised mum and stepmom, and I believe in abundance and living a wealthy life. I'm super organised, and I basically have it all written down. So, but I spend my days now doing what I want when I want, really. So I obviously have my developing. We're on our second development. We bought a piece of land that's been built. That's up for sale. Second piece is literally halfway through. That'll be going up for sale like next month. Be ready to move in for Christmas. We're looking for development number 3. But my friend and sort of ex-colleague, she knows how much I believe in living a wealthy life. So obviously we're in a money system, yeah. So things cost money.
Cool.
If you want self-care and do things that you want to do every day, like I went horse riding this morning. I'm always at the beautician's getting a facial and whatever. And if you want to do that, you have to think about other sources of income. Yeah. So she called me the multiple source of income queen. So I was looking for other stuff to bring money into the house. Because if anyone knows developing or construction, you know that cash flow is so tight. So the minute that money comes in, it goes out, or it goes out before it's even come in. Yeah. So I started looking at other sources of income, and she basically said, have you got any money to invest? And I said, like, you know, I don't really have a lot. It's all tied up. She said, well, look, I had the baby last year. And she said, look, do you fancy, you know, learning how to invest your money? And I said, I don't know if I've got much time to do it. Anyway, long story short, I did learn, and I don't know if anyone is aware about currency trading. So trading on the foreign exchange market. I never thought I would be going down this route. I thought construction was my thing. But it turns out that it's so lucrative, and I basically learned how to trade. Very basic, very amateur, but it took up a lot of my time. And I know, Josh, you're the same sort of belief as me. Law of attraction, asking the universe, putting things out there, manifesting your dream life, working smart, not hard. I now work with a professional trader, and I trade with him and help other people do exactly the same. So I run now a trading club, which I never thought would be the case. It's got nearly 90 people in it. I started it early part of this year, and that's how I afford to have the life that I live. So the developing is, you know, my main source of income, which is park, but my day-to-day stuff where I can do my horse riding lessons, I can treat the kids. We've got obviously for the 4 children. That's my main source of income.
And you know what? That's really fascinating what you told me. You know, in terms of visualization and believing in the universe, but at the same time, you said, "Look, I wanted this life. I got this career as a construction and working with my husband, but at the same time, I was introduced to another opportunity, and I want to take that on board." But I'm going to come back and address that a little bit more. But I just want to go back to the question about self-belief here, because you came across, you know, and I know I spoke to you. It's really interesting. I'm sure the audience will want to know. You know, when you talk about self-belief, about addressing your limited belief, anxiety. So as Amy, as a person, how did you do that? Because you're very confident, I know that, but how did you overcome those fears, the anxieties of saying, oh my God, I'm going to start a new business with my husband, I'm going to have a child. So how did you do that?
I just believe that everything's a calculated risk. Yeah. So I just take any opportunity, honestly, any opportunity that comes my way. I look at everything. Yeah. And like a professional trader approached me on my Instagram. Yeah. And he said, do you want to work with me? Now, most people will be like, that's a scam. But I'm like, okay, well, look, I'll hear you out. And I basically took that opportunity. And I think that that's what life is all about. So it's a calculated risk for me. So like, what have I got to lose? It's the same thing. Like, you know, I didn't give up my job straight away when I started the construction company with my partner. It was all about building slowly. And I just think, what's the worst that can happen? That's how I think about anything, really. Like, you know, if you're going to sell your soul, it's something different.
Josh now. So
What was I?
achieve that. So I want to
With me now, most people will be like, that's a scam, but I'm like, okay, well, look, I'll hear you out. And I basically took that opportunity, and I think that that's what life is all about. So it's a calculated risk for me. So like, what have I got to lose? It's the same thing. Like, I didn't give up my job straight away when I started the construction company with my partner. It was all about building slowly. And I just think, what's the worst that can happen? That's how I think about anything, really. Like, if you're going to sell your soul, it's something different. But, calculated risk is calculated risk. And I think that, I'll just weigh it all up. And if I think it is all about a mindset and having opportunity and believing, okay, well, can this work? Will this work? I believe this can work. And that's it, really.
Great. And on that point, I'm going to take another break and we'll come back. So, dear listeners, if you want to call us, the number is 07852 473 473. We're going to take a short break and we'll be back. Dear listeners, and welcome back. And today we're talking about career development and how you can move your career and what are the challenges and opportunities that you have. So, Amy, just going back to the conversation that we had just before the break. So, one of the things that struck out for me was when you were talking about, mindset and taking opportunities that come for you. So, for me, how do you get inspired? What is your inspiration? It's not just money, but what is inspiration? What is your triggering point, Amy?
Living the life that I want. It's not about the money. It's about doing what I want to do on a daily basis. So I've built my dream life. Every day. People must think, like, is she doing, like, we spoke about self-care before. I just people laughed at me because I've had a massive thing about self-care September. It was literally everything I wanted to do. I just did. And I think that's what inspires me, like having, all the children that I want to be creating memories with, and, so they remember so much. And, because we're in this money system, and like to fly around the world costs money, and to enjoy nice things costs money, then I don't want to be just comfortable. I want to be financially free.
Yep. And I agree with you, because I think when sometimes people say, oh, money's a dirty word, but I remember one of the famous, an actress, I forgot her name now, but she said, darling, I've been rich and I've been poor, but let me tell you, rich is better. So money does give you opportunities to buy, different experience, and it gives you opportunity to, create. So for you, how would you say when someone is looking for new opportunities, what would you say to them? What kind of areas should they look at, or what should they do in order to enhance and embrace those new opportunities?
Be open-minded. Be open-minded. Okay. If you're narrow-minded, like, it's so unfortunate, but 95% of the population don't have an investor mindset. So 60% are on a salary. Yeah. They like comfortable living, day-to-day jobs. Yeah. Which is absolutely fine. And I always say this, I go on my socials all the time and say this. If you have a job that you love, that's great. If you have a vocation, even better. But if you are not happy in your job, or you need extra income, then open your mind. Yeah, there's so much out there. I'm a massive advocate of online businesses and making money online. That's what I do, and that's what I help other people do. And I totally understand that, people are worried, but just delve a little bit deeper and be more open-minded, because I feel like if you're not, that's when, I don't know, successful people in life are open to all opportunities. And that's how I would say that.
But having said that, also, I think one of the things I'm just sharing out with the listeners and everyone else out there, when we're talking about career and being open-minded, remember, you always have a choice. Decide what is really important for you. What is your value? You can listen to experts, you can listen to other professionals, you can listen to your friends and family, but always follow your heart. What is important for you? Because if something doesn't make you happy, then don't do it. Just follow your heart. Look at your skill sets. Look at what your resource, your income, your opportunity, what other opportunities are available. So I would say try, and if you're not sure about something in any aspect of your career, there's always a lot of other support group you can have, and also do your research. Would you say, Amy, that it's really important that people, when they make going for a new adventure or opportunities, always do your research, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if they want to be in a position like that, follow someone that's done it before. So that's what I always say, like we're going back to being a director in the company, like follow them and watch what they do, and sort of like feel like if you can do that, do the same thing. But absolutely do your research. There's loads of stuff out there. The amount of people that come to me that say they've been spoken to with an investment thing, they've invested this money, it's not gone well for them, and unfortunately that's happened to a few people that I know. So doing your research is mega. And calculate. We're going back to risk here. So any investment, do your research on, but take it as so am I willing to do that for that reward, or am I willing to risk that for that reward? The risk to reward thing, I think, is massive. But yeah, absolutely, do research.
So going back to risk, what is one of the most outrageous risks that you ever done in your life, Amy?
Oh my God,
So go on.
The first development. Okay, so I don't know if you know Enfield. That's where our first development is. We bought our piece of land on an auction, right? So we're sitting in the car outside where this piece of land was. We effectively bought a garage for like nearly 400,000. It was absolutely ridiculous. I went well over. My partner was sitting there, and it was an online auction because we just had COVID at the time. And I think a lot of them are online now anyway. But we did, the bids just went up, and I just bidded it, and I was like, oh my God, we've got it. So yeah, it was outrageous, but it paid off. It's built. We're going to earn money. So
So what did you learn about yourself and your partner at that time?
Maybe I should have been a little bit more level-headed, because we could have had other developments that we could have done. But I think we was in such a desperate position where we thought, do you know what? We've been sitting waiting for these land to come up. This land to come up. This never came up, and this piece came up at auction, and we just went for it. But I think it's definitely a second development. We was a little bit more reserved. We didn't go to an auction. We actually went to an agent. We didn't pay half as much as what we paid for our first bit. So you learn so much. Take the risk and learn along the way.
Great. So now I know you got this new event coming up in next week on the 16th. So 15th. Do you want to just tell briefly what that is about to our audience?
Yes, I do. So it's Sunday, the 15th of October. So as I was just explaining, I co-founded a club called the Trading Club. Okay, so you don't have to have any skills. There's no learning required. You literally take the trades that we give you. All right, and we help you and support you and mentor you the whole way through. I'm hosting an event on it on Sunday the 15th. It's in Hertfordshire. It's in a place called Mayflower Place. And it's going to be a day of empowering stuff. So you can have the education that we're going to show you, a system that you can't fail on. We have safety nets in place for everything. It's very, very low risk that we do. I want more people to believe that there is other stuff out there than just your day-to-day job. So online money is never been easier. It's done from apps on your phone. We explain the whole thing. We've also got Josh that's coming along to the event to give a bit of a mindset talk. We've got it's run by a company called Empowering Events Tribe. They are doing things like breath work, meditation, cold water therapy. I've been delving into that the last 5 months, and it's totally changed me and how I look at self-care. I think when you focus on yourself, your career path and your development follows. Yeah, focusing on you is the main thing. I'm 5 months sober now. And you don't have to be sober to come along to the event, and each to their own. But for me, it wasn't serving me, and I my goals are pretty big, and for me to get there, I just had to knock that on the head. And since then, I've been doing lots of empowering stuff. So we've got all that going on as well. There's food. It's £15 a ticket. There's not many tickets left, so if you want to come, it's Sunday the 15th. I think, can we put the ticket link maybe in the?
We won't be able to put. You can just say it. We won't be able to put link in there. But
okay.
I'll yeah. Go on.
If you hop on, just maybe follow me on Facebook or Instagram, and drop me a message. I've got the ticket link in my bio. Yeah. Again, there's not many tickets left, but I want as many people as possible. We're nearly at 90 members of the club. My goal was 250. We will get there. We are there. There is 250 people. I think you've got to have that mindset. So yeah, it's going to be an amazing day.
Well, yeah, thank you for sharing that, and well done, Amy. I know it's not been easy. You looked at that and you worked really hard with your other partner agencies. But for me, I would just like, as we're coming to the end of the show, I'd just like you to say briefly, if someone was listening to you and they came to you for an advice around career, what advice would you give them?
I would give them advice that just because you've been told in the school system to go and get yourself a job and give up your time for money, it doesn't have to be that way. Okay. So as a businesswoman, you have to work smart, not hard, and look outside of that. Look outside of that box and really think, what other opportunities are there out there for me to go and do something to bring in a great source of income that I don't have to give up my time for. Yeah. That's exactly my advice.
And to follow on from what you just say, I will say, if anyone, when you're looking at career development, it doesn't matter if you're starting your job now or in your later life, in your 50s and 60s and 70s, remember there's always different opportunity. Do your research, find out for yourself what is your passion, what is your what is your desire, what is your needs. Look around your support network. Don't just make that decision, but look at what is going to be best for you or your family, and then make those decisions, right? It's really, really important to do your research. And career means, it's not, when I'm talking about career development, I'm not just talking about the financial reward. There's career development that you change for improving your health, looking at, developing new skill sets. So there's different aspects of a career, development and opportunities. So what I will say to everyone, please take care of yourself. Look at your, existing position and how that helping you, in terms of your health, your financial reward, and your support network, and then moving from that, So today I'd like to say thank you to Amy for joining us. You've been a great guest, and I'm sure my dear listeners have taken some valuable advice from you. So Amy, thank you for coming on, and dear listeners, till next week, this is Josh saying goodbye, and please do join us. Remember, we are on every Thursday. Take care and look after yourself. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye.
Broadcasting worldwide, 24/7, 365. Relaks Radio. Relax.